how's it going? Matthew Bailey Media here, and welcome to another TV show review. I know it's been a while, I think, since I did my last TV show review. If I remember correctly, I believe the last one I did was for the unfortunate stinker that was The Acolyte, and I apologize for all that, but this time I'm going back to one that I've actually reviewed once before already. If y'all remember, back in the fall of 2023, I believe it was, I did my review on Goosebumps, from Disney Plus, and that, to me, I will admit, I still think that show wasn't as bad the first season. I just think it should have ended after season 8. And I think the rating I gave it, which was the whole show, which was a 4 out of 5, that was mainly because of those last 2 episodes. I still enjoyed it though, but now, as you can tell by the title, we are actually now reviewing season 2 of the show, which is it's basically doing what I thought it was going to do, where I said in that first video that I thought that every episode was going to be an anthology thing where it features a monster or object from one of the Goosebumps books, and it did that in this season. However, it's not just the anthology of a single episode. It actually tells an anthology throughout the entire season, just like season 1 did. But at least it uses the object/monsters in a much better way in this season. And of course, I'm referring to Goosebumps: The Vanishing. Yep, so they gave the season 2 a subtitle. However, I did notice they did not include it as season 2 on the original Goosebumps icon on Disney Plus, which is weird. They kept them completely separate for some reason. But who knows? Maybe they'll change that and put them together eventually. But with Goosebumps: The Vanishing, so without giving away any spoilers, the whole premise of The Vanishing is these two twins go to spend time with their dad during the summer, and while there, a lot of crazy, freaky things happen, and they uncover a crazy thing that happened 30 years prior. Because it's funny, because this show takes place in 2024, at least present day it does, but there's a past thing that happened 30 years ago, so in this case, 1994. So that's pretty crazy. But with 20, like I said, in 1994, they uncovered a secret of how 4 kids went missing during that time, and one of them was actually the twins' uncle, and again, freaky stuff starts happening around the town that they're in New York, and they unfortunately have to figure out what's going on, and they think their dad might actually have something to do with the weird stuff, and like I said, they uncover a crazy mystery of that actually spans even before the events of those kids going missing. That's all I'm going to say without giving away any spoilers. But basically, this season, I will admit, the twists and turns of everything that was happening in each episode, which, ironically enough, this season only had 8 episodes, but the way they ended it, I thought was feel like the way they structured this show and the way they left it off as a cliffhanger ending, that was way better than what we got in season 1, in my opinion. Because again, I feel like season 1 could have ended off with the 8th episode, with the way that episode ended, with a twist thing happening right before the credits rolled. But with this season, they actually did it. They actually ended it with a crazy twist. I'm not going to say what it was, but the way they ended it was a much better twist ending, which is iconic to R.L. Stine's Goosebumps books, which, if you can't tell, they're actually sitting right here behind me on the top shelf. All those books are pretty much Goosebumps books. So, but with this show, just like in season 1, where we had objects and monsters from things like Say Cheese and Die, we had the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, we had the Haunted Mask, what else did we have in there? The Worms from Go Eat Worms. I think those were the only 4 objects or monsters per se that were featured in the first season, unless you want to count the Biddle House that was featured throughout the entire show, which is the haunted house, which I think is a nod to Welcome to Dead House, I guess, because the there was a kid who died in that house and he haunts it and all that sort of stuff. So that's really 5 different objects slash monsters from the Goosebumps world that were featured in season 1. With season 2, we get a couple of other things. Like, even though I don't think this is really a monster per se, but it was definitely a location that was featured a lot in the in the episode, and that of course is Stay Out of the Basement, which is the second book in the entire Goosebumps franchise, which I do have behind me. And now again, I don't think it was an object or a monster per se, but it was a location, and that was the center of this entire season. So, and plus they even referenced the name of the freaking book in the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler, but that's one monster that was slash location slash object that was featured in this season. We also got Monster Blood, I think, was another one featured in this season. Let's see, we had the Haunted Car, which I don't think that's part of the original 62 books, but it was featured. I'm trying to think of other monsters or objects that were featured in here. I think those were the only 3 that I can think of. Well, actually, no, you do also have even though the monster wasn't featured per se, they do reference the book The Girl Who Cried Monster, but in this case, the episode was called The Boy Who Cried Monster, so they flipped it. So that was pretty cool. So they had almost the same amount of stuff in this season, but again, I will say this was definitely a better season than the first one, and I hope they continue this with a 3rd season of Anthology, and I'm curious which new characters we're gonna get, because heck, the first season we got to see a big A-list actor with Justin Long being one of the main characters in the first season, and with this season we have David Schwimmer, I believe is his name. So that was pretty surprising seeing him in here. And if you're wondering why I'm actually, speaking of which, I just realized, if you're wondering why I'm wearing this crazy collared red shirt, I look pretty good in it, don't I? But that's mainly because I was trying my best to find an outfit that sort of resembles the outfit that R.L. Stine wears whenever he introduces a Goosebumps thing. So, anyways, I'm getting off topic. But anyways, let me give you my rating of Goosebumps The Vanishing. So, for my rating of Goosebumps The Vanishing, like I said, definitely a better season than the first one. And especially because it did only have 8 episodes this time, which I feel like is what it deserved. And it ended off on a much better cliffhanger and story arc than the last season did, with those last 2 episodes honestly not being needed. Now, like I said, I gave the first season a 4 out of 5. This one, however, I'm actually going to give a 4.5 out of 5. It's getting better because it did get a little better. I feel like if they keep going with another season, I hope it does just as good as the first season did, and even better than or just as good as this season and better than the first season. That's for sure. So, anyways, that's all for now in this TV show review. And as always, I will see all of you guys in the next video.